Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin, joined by my guy, G-Sportz. G was good.
What it do?
Got a nice little breakdown today, some rev share updates. LSU officially put the pieces of the pie together, if you will. They know exactly what sports are getting what percentage. They got some interesting changes, especially for the baseball side of things. I think not enough people are talking about them. We'll move into LSU football players who we think are closer to starting than many would give them credit for. A couple of diamonds in the rough, if you will. And is a college football playoff appearance enough for LSU? Because we've been talking about if they're playoff bound, but I'm starting to think maybe too many people are taking that for granted or just expecting it, and a potential first round exit might, be a little more embarrassing and a little more of a problem in and of itself. Some things we're gonna have to consider. Let's talk about this revenue share. Shout out Wilson Alexander from the Advocate. He dropped a breakdown of LSU's next steps now that this era of college football is upon us, right? What's it gonna look like? How's it gonna be divvied up? Each school has about $21 million to be able to share amongst all of their athletic programs. The way LSU will do it, 75%, the lion's share, going straight to football, 15% going to men's basketball, 5% to women's basketball, then 5% to other sports, whether it be baseball, gymnastics, track and field, yada, yada, yada. Now, at first glance, G, it sounds concerning at a baseball level, right? You got a top program, a powerhouse, if you will, winning 2 titles in the last 3 years. How are they going to be able to keep that consistency around? Well, first thing, shout out Jack Marucci, because you got the Marucci sponsorship. That's going to help them, I think, stay afloat more than the average college baseball program. But if you read the fine print recently, you've only had 12 scholarships. Now that gets up to 34, almost 3 times as many spots. Otherwise, they were walk-ons or they were not receiving aid. I feel like this aspect, being able to pay more kids, so to speak, to come to your program, that's going to give them a longer rope, if you will, to be able to recruit, to be able to hit the portal, to be able to build another championship squad. What's your initial reaction to this revenue share and that split that you see here? 75% football, 15% men's hoops, 5% women's hoops, and 5% to the others.
I mean, it makes sense. Football is king. 75% going to the football program. I mean, it makes the most sense because that's who's generating the most money. That's who's getting all the TV sponsorships. Um, the 5% going to the sports like gymnastic and baseball and stuff like that. I think when you have a polarizing figure like a Paul Skeens and people like that, I think they'll figure a way to still get them paid by whether it's from Canes or walk-ons or sometime a Fortune 500 company in Louisiana. They'll get it done. But what's on the average, you don't see a lot of superstars coming out of the gymnastic program, out the baseball program, out the softball program. You might have one or two here and there every couple of years, but it's not something consistent. So I don't think this is going to hurt the baseball program or the gymnastics program or the softball program. I think they'll get it done when they have the right type of fit or the right type of player in their program. But football, I think this is going to make things more structured for Brian Kelly. There was a lot of chaos since NIL started. You could tell this is why a lot of big time prominent, not only football coaches but uh, basketball coaches in the college space, why they retired, because it was just so all over the place. And I think this is going to bring some organization to it. I think this is something that's needed. I just think that Austin Thomas, who is supposed to be the general manager for the football program, he's going to have work cut out for him because he's going to have to make sure that this all that money that's allocated to football fits each year with some of these players. And LSU gets some of the best of the best,
Yep.
right? And if you want to continue to get some of the best players in the country, he's going to have to do and crunch them numbers the right way because it's going to have a lot of people coming to the table. And when I say people, I'm not talking about the kid and the parent. I'm talking about agents. You got people like Athletes First and WME and Universal Sports and Wiseman. Some of these top tier agencies are going to be coming to the table and they going to want their player and their client to get paid at market value. So if LSU is a top five has a top five recruiting class coming in every year, these kids are going to want to get paid accordingly. So uh, I think the general managers of these football programs are going to have to do a lot of digging. They're going to have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of scrutiny coming their way if they can't get this figured out and make sure everybody is compensated appropriately. Because let's take somebody like Richard Anderson. Richard Anderson is a top 15 player in the country right now. That goes to Edna Carr High School, and he's committed to LSU. At market value right now, I want to say it's somewhere around 700K to $1 million. So when he's coming in next year for that 2026 class, they're gonna have to allocate that type of money for Richard Anderson, right? You got somebody like let's say if they can get the Bradford kid that's committed to Ohio State flip back to LSU. That kid, when you talk about what he's gonna be, his market value is, it's around the same thing. So yeah, getting the best players is what the LSU has to do. But Austin Thomas and the rest of that staff that helps him crunch these numbers, they're gonna have a lot of long nights and a lot of things that's gonna have to happen from now until the season starts when you talk about getting these kids paid appropriately.
Yeah, the roster management situation is always tricky. And then especially the situation of just having to find new lanes or new avenues, if you will, to be able to monetize your brand. LSU, the three letters, the purple and gold, it's one of the more recognizable and powerful brands in college sports. So with that being said, I think there's going to be opportunities for them to put a jersey patch on. Some more sponsorships, whether it be on the wall, lining the field, shit on the field, or just naming the stadium after a corporate sponsor. Like I know that that's probably in the future, whether it be 2 years, 3 years, or maybe a little sooner. But I feel like that's something that fans are gonna have to kind of pay attention to a little bit as well. And it might be shocking at first. It might kind of rub some people the wrong way. But when you're talking like that, having to allocate money for each different freshman, then your returning players, then the transfers that you want to bring in, your coaching staff is still getting paid. I mean, you
Not gonna be
will have
easy.
to figure some stuff out. And I think it's going to come in forms of a jersey patch on the field. What's your reaction to that? And if you think that that's something that, we should watch out for?
Yeah, it's gonna be just like the NBA, right? When you look at the NBA games, you see all these different companies on their jerseys, and that's what you probably gonna see in college football. Now, for the people that's watching, that rule hasn't passed yet. I know they're still in talks of trying to get it done, but it's needed, especially when you talk about a school like LSU who plays on prime, like half of their schedule be primetime games. So
Yeah.
having a business on their jersey, um, they should get compensated for it because all of the country is watching. So I think it's needed, and it's going to help the school out and make sure that they be able to have the right type of revenue coming in along with the TV sponsorships and things like that.
Yeah, I agree. You're gonna have to be able to feed all the mouths here in Baton Rouge. And you're gonna have a lot of them to choose from. Let's segue into our LSU football players who are closer to starting than you think. I'm gonna open it up with my guy, Varian Brown. I think this could be one of the most underrated players in this entire transfer portal haul. And that's a big, bold claim, quite frankly, especially with all the defensive pieces you bring in. But uh got some things to back up for. One of them that ain't serious, but EA knows ball, dog. They got him at a 99 speed in CFB 26. Come on now. They know ball. They understand the situation. Freshman year, he debuted at Kentucky with 50 receptions. He never got to become the guy, the wide receiver one, the piece that was, the focal point in that room, so to speak. But also, at Kentucky, I'm going to be honest, there wasn't consistent quarterback play. I mean, you had a lot of pieces getting changed around, so I'm not going to fault him for that. What I will say, he's got a lot of versatility. People come in and expect him to be a return specialist, but you also see on the stat sheet he's got back-to-back seasons with 12 plus carries in the rush game, so you can plug and play him there. And I'm gonna build off of one of the points that you've been bringing up. You've been worried about the wide receiver injuries, your Chris Hiltons, your Destin Hills, Nick Andersons. Look, if that's a question mark, I could see this guy being one of the consistent pieces that will be able to produce hypothetically in an absence of someone like that. But we're taking it for granted that Chris, Aaron, and Nick are going to be your top three. from what I've seen in spring, I ain't gonna lie. I think Barry and Brown's been developing good chemistry with Nussmeier. I've seen him, connect on some nice passes. And yeah, it's spring ball. It's not fall, but I've liked what I've seen so far from six. I think this could be a piece that could be a mainstay in this wide receiver room.
Yeah, Baron Brown is definitely a talent. Anytime he has the ball in his hands, he any given time he could take it 80 and hit his head on a goal post. I think for Baron Brown, the reason why he came to LSU is to show NFL teams that he could be a top tier receiver in the room. Yeah, he was a top tier receiver at Kentucky, but that's Kentucky,
Right.
right? They don't have the same type of talent in their room like LSU does.
They
So if you
don't.
can come to LSU, put up the numbers, and use that LSU brand to push your um to push these NFL teams to fall in love with you, that's what you do. I think with Baron Brown, I think one of the things that he's going to have to really focus in on as he gets ready to transition into fall camp is, being a consistent route runner, not always just relying on your speed
Yep.
to make plays. And I think if he does that, he could put himself in position to get drafted in the top 3 rounds. So that's going to be key for him. But Nussmeier gonna have a lot of different receivers in that room, that he could throw deep balls to and get the ball to him in space. But like we talked about, and I can't wait to see how it's gonna all play out. Will Destin Hill come back 100% and be the receiver that I know he can be? Will Nick Anderson come back to be the receiver we saw his freshman year at Oklahoma? Right? Will Chris Hilton be the receiver we saw in the bowl game in Houston? Right? If we see those things along with Baron Brown being able to do what he does, right? That takes the load off Baron Brown. Now Baron Brown doesn't see the number one cornerback on a opposing team
Yep.
week in and week out, and he could make more plays in that regard. So uh, I'm with you on Baron. I just think that if he really focuses on his route running this fall camp and take that serious, I do think he'll give a lot of defenses a problem, and him and Nuts gonna have a lot of fun together.
That's another point that I feel like is not going, it's not going said enough. The fact that they have so many pieces in this wide receiver room where defenses aren't going to be able to key in on one guy. And at Kentucky or at another smaller school where you don't have a stacked room like LSU does, you can't say the same. And it's going to be interesting because, I mean, we named all those guys. You still got pieces like Aaron, Zay, Kyle, Trades Green, Byers Sharp. You got pieces in the backfield that can receive. I mean, LSU's as stacked as stack can get right now. It's going to be interesting to see. You can't go wrong when you got all those pieces. Second one. Shout out Gabe Relaford. I think this one's kind of going underrated because you got that transfer overhaul. You got Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn, Jamari Butler, and they all come in, and it's like everybody forgets about 19. G. Um, Another thing I like about him is he's been in the scheme, whether it be Blake Baker's scheme, Kevin Peoples' scheme. He's been in that room, and it won't have to be a full turnaround of learning a brand new scheme, brand new plays. And I know that they're going to be capable of it, but it's just something to be said about consistency and experience in that. And also, I feel like he's going to take the torch directly from Braden Swinson. What we saw from 4 last year, he was insane. What do they say? Running like your hair is on fire. That's all we saw from him. And I think that 19 is going to be able to slide right into that spot. And even if they do throw out Patrick and Jack and whatnot, I think it'll be a good balance. What do you think about Gabe Rutherford?
Like Gabe Relaford, man, he definitely flashed last year as one of those true freshmen that got an opportunity on defense last year. And I think starting off the season though, I think you'll see Patrick Payton and Pyburn from Florida start at the edges. But I think what Blake Baker is going to do this season, he's going to be able to rotate guys in and out and keep them fresh. So I
Yep.
think you'll see Gabe Relaford and Jamar Butler coming in together when they take Pyburn and Patrick Payton out, and he'll get a number of opportunities to be able to show what he can do. And truth be told, Pyburn and Patrick Payton, this is probably their last year. I
Yep.
think it is their last year. I think they both gonna be seniors. I think the eligibility is gonna be up. So Gabe, Rutherford coming in as a true sophomore, getting that kind of time, this is going to set him up for next year. And I don't want to jump the gun, but I just think this is going to put him in position to be an elite edge rusher in his 3rd year, especially going against that offensive line who is super super talented. I know they got a lot of question marks, but I think iron's going to sharpen iron. And especially, with people like Patrick Payton and Pyburn in the room and Jamar Butler, who has done it consistently over the last 2 to 3 years at their last stops, they're gonna be able to school somebody like Rutherford and put him on game and show him the little nuances of on how to bend and be able to get to the quarterback fast and stop the run and set the edge and things of that nature. So I think Rutherford is in a good spot. I don't see him starting to start the season though. I think it's gonna be Patrick Payton and Pyburn.
All right. I got another crazy one, right? My first two, I think those are my most realistic ones. This one, I'm going out on a limb here. This is somebody I've seen a lot of potential from all spring, Deshaun Spears. It's another one of those situations where transfers come in, and AJ Halsey, Marcus Cooley, and I feel like people are just forgetting what kind of depth that you have at that spot. I mean, going into the spring, you didn't have all this depth, you didn't have all these names, you didn't have all these pieces, but he's another guy that's shown flashes, whether it be picks, whether it be locking down and coverage. He's a young guy that I think LSU is going to be able to lean on going forward. And we were talking about rotations at that edge piece. I think rotations at safety is going to be key as well, especially when Tamarcus can play in a nickel situation. Or I feel like you can throw out probably three different mixes of DBs as a whole with what you got in the corner room and the safety room. They're going to be able to complement each other well. He's a baller, though. I think not a lot of people are putting enough attention on him. I'm going to be interested to see how his role grows this season because as of right now, people think he's going to be a third stringer or, a low depth chart piece. I think he could be thrown out there in the mix and be one of the guys when we're talking late November, late December. That's my reach, but hey, I'm confident in him.
Deshaun Spears played a lot early on last year as a true freshman, and then
Yep.
toward the middle and the end of the season, for whatever reason, I thought that Blake Bigham decided, and Coach Olsen, who was the safeties coach, decided to take him out the lineup. But he flashed. He showed the promise of a safety that you think could be really, really good down the road. Of course, he has some mental errors here and there, but he has all the ability. He's showing the hell looks the part, right? I think this year with them bringing in AJ Saucy from Houston to Marcus Cooley, I think that probably will be your two safeties. I do think Deshaun Spears are going to be one of the first ones rotating in, right? I think he's going to play a whole lot on special teams. And look, it's not the end of the world if Deshaun Spears doesn't start. He's only going to be a sophomore.
Yep.
And AJ Saucy, I want to say he's a senior. I think he's out of eligibility. I think Tamarcus Cooley is going to be out of eligibility. So this is not the end all be all if Deshaun Spears doesn't start. I think him having that experience last year as a true freshman is going to help him this year, and he's going to battle in fall camp. And I think you're going to see some times where they go with a three safety look, because I think Blake Baker did that a few times last year, and I think he will definitely be in that package when they go AJ Saucy to Marcus Cooley, and then Deshaun Spears being that third safety. So I think he's going to get some time, but I think when they go with that two safety look, I think it'll definitely be to Marcus Cooley and AJ Saucy.
AJ Halsey is a senior.
I say
Tamarcus.
AJ Saucy, AJ Halsey.
Nah, that's a nickname, bro. We dubbing him early. We dubbing him early, man. But
Gotcha. You
Tamarcus
confused me just
Cooley,
now.
he a redshirt sophomore.
Redshirt, so he come back.
Yeah, they got some depth here. They got some
Yeah.
pieces that they
And
gonna
they
use.
going and then you know how they gonna use Cooley. They gonna use him at safety, and they gonna roll him down and play him at nickel too.
You might as well, because then that gives you an identity that you're not gonna be able to just be like pinned to one thing, and you're gonna be able to throw different things out there depending on who you're playing, depending on what they're rolling out. You could change as the game goes. And LSU being able to adapt on that defensive side, that's key, because when you stuck, it don't look good. That's not how you win games. Getting
I
stuck in
think
the
I think the key gonna be too is how they gonna utilize Ashton Stamps, because if Mansour Delaney is one corner, Jaheim Jackson as the other corner, do you move Ashton Stamps to the nickel, and now Cooley is strictly as safety, and AJ Halsey is strictly at the other safety? How does that happen? I think if Ashton Stamps can't be that nickel, then you see they move Cooley down to the nickel. So, and then they might move Mansour Delaney to safety, and then insert DJ Pickett at the other corner. So I can't wait to see how fall camp gonna go down, because they have a lot of talent, but they got to figure out where they gonna play everybody at. I
I
think it's
agree.
safe. I think it's really safe to say that Mansour Delaney is definitely gonna be one of the starting corners for sure. And if they can't figure out something at that safety position and have to move Cooley down to the nickel, Do you move Master Delane to safety and then insert DJ Pickett at one corner and Jaheim Jackson at the other corner? So it's gonna be interesting to see how it all play out. But I think they have a lot of depth in that DB room, and I think Blake is going to be able to do some things that he hasn't been able to do last year, or that he wasn't being able to do last year at LSU, just because they didn't have the talent. Just being honest, they didn't have the talent in that room last year to be able to do some of the things they wanted to do.
This is LSU's most talented defense, in my opinion, under Brian Kelly. And that first year, you had steppers, dog. Jaquelin Roy, BJ Ojolari, Ali Gay. You had people that were dogs playing in the NFL, the whole 9 yards. What you're looking at right now, you got a lot of names. And then look, our guy John in the chat saying stuff about Toviano, Jordan Gilbert. Those are another two names you can't forget about in the safety room. I mean, it's deep. You really
Well,
can't go wrong.
when it comes to Jordan Gilbert, I think Jordan Gilbert is a good player, but durability, right? That's been his MO, even going back to when he was at Texas A&M. So I think Jordan Gilbert's going to have to show that he can stay healthy, bro. I think that's going to be the big question for him. But if he's healthy, bro, that makes that room even deeper.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
we talk about somebody like Toviano, who they started him at outside corner, then they moved him to nickel, then they tried to move him to safety in the spring. Although he has experience playing safety back in high school, it's something he's gonna have to get used to, especially in the SEC. So we know Toviano has the ability. I'm a fan of Toviano. You know, I've been watching him since he came out of Dallas, Texas. But experience is the best teacher, and you can't
Mhm.
simulate that in practice. So, but having him in that room, I mean, it just add another depth piece.
Yep, I agree. Let's talk about this college football playoff, the noise, if you will, right? So I'm gonna propose a question to you, G, and it's not anything I think it's nothing. How do I put this? It's not gonna be do or die in this sense if you make the college football playoff, because I think that would be enough for me. But it did pop in my head, like fans and their expectations and just the way that they kind of react to certain things. Let's say, let's go down a hypothetical. Let's say that they go in the first round. You play a Notre Dame, you play an SMU, a Miami, and you get bounced. Does that is that embarrassing? Is that a situation where LSU now doesn't look the part? Like, what do you think that just getting in the playoff, getting in the top 12, is that going to be enough for Brian Kelly and LSU? Or will they have to go in and win a game? Like, how far does LSU actually have to go with the talent, with all the pieces, all the experience? We're talking stacked wide receiver room, Garrett Nussmeier being potentially the best quarterback in college football. And then another thing that I want to bring up too, comparison's the thief of joy, right? Especially in athletics. So I'm not trying to put anybody against anybody, but if you look at LSU and the way that they've expected success and the way that the last coaches have been able to get it, whether it be Ed Orgeron, Les Miles, Nick Saban, they all got a ring by year 4. Brian Kelly's going into year 4, and it's a pivotal one too, because yeah, you were able to hit hard in the portal, but gee, look at who you're going to lose. We were talking about Nussmeier. You're talking about Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson. You're going to lose Tank on the other side, Harold Perkins. You're going to lose pieces, and then you're going to have to rebuild again. So it'd be your second major rebuild, especially because the first one was losing Jay and Malik, BT. Like, do you think he'll be able to handle that? And then talk about that college football playoff experience. Like, is just making it going to be enough, or are they going to have to actually put it on somebody?
I think getting into the 12-team playoff and you have to face off against an opponent like SMU. I
Mm-hmm.
think SMU is a really, really good program, especially with Jennings, the quarterback, coming back. But if LSU plays SMU and loses in the first round, I think you'll see Scott Woodward at the end of the sideline with his arms folded like this
I think so too.
and contemplating how he's going to go about addressing Brian Kelly as they get ready to go into the offseason. Do
Yeah.
you want to bring him back? Do you want to get rid of him? Now, you face off against a program like Miami. Cristobal is doing a really good job with that team, and you got somebody like Carson Beck as your quarterback. Okay, that's a little more understandable. So
Mm-hmm.
I to me, it just depends on who you lose to and how you lose if Brian Kelly will come back, in my opinion.
No, I agree, because it never dawned on me until I would say maybe 2 days ago, where I'm just sitting here thinking, going through potential situations. And I'm starting to get the vibe that the college football playoff is like, is the floor for the expectations, at least on what would be deemed a successful season. Because if you miss it, by default, it can't be a success because that's what you've been doing in the past. And I think 10-2 can get you in there, even though you've seen them hit that 10-win mark. I think this would be their third time in 4 years. Whatever the case may be, you've got such an amount of talent, such an amount of hype building around you that the expectation might be at least, what would it be, a quarterfinal? I think you're going to have to get at least one win to be able to just show this is the right step towards the future, especially with, like I said, I mean, by year 4, every other one of the last 3 coaches already hoisted one. They're a completely different college football world now in a new era, but that's going to play into a lot of these expectations of fans. LSU fans, they want it right now. They're not really a patient group. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
I mean, I agree. Like I just said, it really depends on who they lose to. If they were to fall in the first round, and it depends on how it looks. I think that really matters in year 4 for Brian Kelly. But with the roster they have, man, when you look at the landscape of college football, and I know what I'm saying probably gonna change once the season started. We get into week 3, week 4, we're gonna be like, damn, I didn't know they was that good. It happens every year, right? But as of today, I don't see a team in college football where I'm saying to myself, they're gonna be dominant. That that's gonna be a team that should be in the mix for a national championship. I'm not looking at anybody like that. Of course, you look at Georgia, you just expect them to be in the mix, right? Just because of what they've done since Kirby Smart has been there, right? You look at
Texas.
You look at Texas. You see, Arch Manning gonna be the starting quarterback this year. You know they got a lot of talent returning, but they also lost a lot of talent.
They did.
But you expect them to be in a mix.
Yep.
But I don't look at anybody around the country as of today and say, yeah, they probably gonna have a chance to win a natty. I don't anticipate that. I just don't see it.
No, I mean, that just says a lot about the world of college football you're in, the dispersing of talent, how you're not retaining as much people on your second, third strings waiting for their turn. They just gonna get up, leave, go get a bag, and go somewhere else. And then
And
also,
don't forget this. There's only 3 returning starters at quarterback in the SEC.
yeah, that was my next point. Ole Miss is in a confusing spot.
Yeah,
Georgia's in a confusing spot.
DJ Lagway's coming back. Garrett Nussmeier, and I think the kid from Vanderbilt, right? That's the only 3.
Well, Lenore Sellers too.
Oh yeah, Lenore Sellers. So you got 4. Right? I think you cannot discount that. Gunnar Stockton from Georgia. I mean, I seen him get in the game a little bit last year, but I didn't see anything from him that made me be like, oh, okay, they got some coming up down the pipeline. I just didn't see that when I watched him play. Austin Simmons for Ole Miss. Know he got a ton of talent, but I gotta still see him do it.
Ty Simpson from Bama.
Right. Arch Manning got in a little bit, I guess, against Louisiana Monroe and I think maybe 2 other games, and he has the talent, but I don't know if he can do it consistently throughout a season yet. We have to see. And just like Nussmeier had his struggles as a first-year starter, and he had some good moments too last year, you can't. Experience is the best teacher. So I just think that gives LSU an advantage going into this year. It's the best roster they put together. We keep hearing that. So I think they're gonna be in position, man, to be able to, make a run in that college team in that 12-team playoff. So a lot of pressure on Brian Kelly and that staff this year. A lot of pressure.
I think he's ready for it though. There's nothing new. You know what I mean? It might have just gotten a little bit hotter in Baton Rouge, figuratively and literally. But with the roster you got, I think he's going to be able to handle it. The noise has been here his entire time, and I think he's getting used to it now. Let's talk about SEC Media Days, G. Let's try to put your Nostradamus cap on and see who's going to go. I got 2 of them that I think is easy to be able to figure out. You got Garrett Nussmeier, talking about him being one of the best quarterbacks, him being the face of the brand, quite frankly. Go check out our interview with him we did at the Manning Passing Academy. Every single question he got asked, he had a perfect answer to it, quite frankly. He seems like a professional NFL level quarterback. And obviously his dad's NFL coach. That's going to play into it. But I think it says a lot about his character as well. So, yeah, you want him to represent the brand out there. He's locked in as one of the spots. I think Harold Perkins is going to get out there as well. I mean, best defensive player you got. He went last year, so he knows what to do, what to say, if you will. He's going to have a big spotlight on him this season as well, especially with the position change, right? Everybody wants to know how he feels about it, if he thinks it's going to be the right move, yada, yada, yada. My third one, now this one's a reach. I do think you have to bring an experienced, I would say, lineman out there, right? I feel like that's the only position that you really haven't uh, crossed yet. Maybe wide receiver, but I'm gonna go Tank Guillory. I'm gonna go Jacobian. I think he's got 5 years under his belt. Tried and true LSU player, done a lot of media availability as well, and he's got a big season ahead. So I think that'd be a good one to throw out there. What's your reaction? Who you got?
For sure, Nuts gotta be there. Like we
Gotta
know
be there,
that.
bro.
That's evident.
Yep.
Um, I think Pert, that's a shoe-in, right? That third one, I'm gonna go with Mansour Delane.
Okay.
I think Mansour Delane will be really, really good at SEC Media Day. Very marketable, has a great smile, no diddy. Uh, handles itself the right way. No, can articulate itself. Been around him on a couple of occasions since he's been at LSU. Love the way he looks you in your eye, firm handshake. Knows how to carry a conversation. Looks very confident when he's speaking.
Yep.
And I think his experience at Virginia Tech, him bringing it to the SEC, going through a spring with Blake Baker, he'll be able to handle himself the proper way at SEC Media Day. So that's the three I'm gonna go with. I think we agree on Nuss. I think we agree on Nuss and Pert. You win with Jacoby and Guillory. I'm gonna go with Mansour Delane as my third.
And I felt weird G not putting a wide receiver in because I mean, damn near the whole stream we're talking about stacked wide receiver room and all this noise. I mean, you got an option, whether it be Chris, whether it be Aaron, you got pieces. I think that you
Well,
could put out.
well, to the point that we're making when we talk about SC Media Day and answering questions and being able to articulate yourself and having confidence and stuff like that. I think that's why you won't see Aaron Anderson or Chris Hilton. Chris Hilton is an introvert, very mild mannered, chilled. You don't really see him do too much in the media in a sense unless he has to.
Yeah.
Aaron, you rarely see Aaron in the media, right? I just don't think that's something that they're super comfortable with doing, and I think the coaching staff understands that. So, from a talent standpoint, yeah, Aaron and Chris should definitely have an opportunity to be at SEC Media Day. But I don't think when you talk about the whole grand scheme of things of what goes into SEC Media Day, I think that's why you won't see either one of those guys in Atlanta.
I'm excited though. We're gonna be locked in. What is it? July 2nd. So we got about 12 days until it starts. About a week and a half. We're gonna make the trek to Atlanta. So y'all stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button, like button, all those 9 yards. We're gonna be doing Radio Row. We're gonna be tapped in. We're gonna be giving everybody the spiel, the real deal spiel. No
Locked
BS,
and
no
loaded.
fluff. Straight up. As real as it gets. Come on. This is it. We turn the fire up. I think we had a good show, man. I'm about to hop out of here. Gonna be back Friday at 1:30. Oh, 1 o'clock. Not 1:30. I gave ourselves a little 30 minutes of padding. We're gonna be back at 1 o'clock sharp. G, appreciate your time. Everybody, smash that like button on the way out. Y'all have a damn good one.
Don't play.
At all. Never.